Alright, hello everyone, this is my autobiography presentation, and my name is Morgan Boffner, and this is my picture. And so a little bit about me is that I am a very family-oriented person. I love my family, and I hope to have my family one day soon. um, but I was blessed with two wonderful parents who have been very motivated. They are two of the most motivated people I've ever met in my life. Both of them went into the military at very young ages, and they instilled those values within how they raised us, and it's really been so wonderful. And so both of them worked as I grew up, and my mom attended nursing school, and I was little, and they have just worked so hard to be where they are today. And that has really given me so much motivation, because motivation is very important in my family. But with that being said, there are also a lot of fixed mindsets within my family and not very many growth mindsets. So I think that's really important to say as well. I have had some struggles with fixed mindsets, so moving forward, I would like to improve that within myself and my future family. But moving on, a little bit about my education. So, we found out when I was young that I have dyslexia, and this made motivation and emotion very difficult to deal with. um, so, for those of you who don't know, dyslexia is a learning disability that makes it to where you have a hard time reading and writing and kind of retaining information and material. And so, growing up, I had really difficult time in school. I felt very unmotivated, and it was really very disheartening um, within my educational career. And so, it was really very difficult to want to continue education. Um, when I got into high school, in the beginning it was difficult, but then moving on to my um, senior year, I was like, oh, this actually matters. And so, as we all know, senior and junior year of high school is really important because that's what colleges look at. They look at your grades. And so I realized this and I was like, well, shoot, I want to get into college. And so I worked really hard um, to be able to get into college. And that was when my motivation had a peak. However, I had more of a fixed mindset. I hadn't fully grasped the idea of a growth mindset, and that was kind of difficult for me. However, once I got into college, that all kind of flipped around. My motivation then plummeted, but my mindset was then fixed. To a growth mindset, fixed as in it was improved to a growth mindset. I had realized that, oh, it's okay. Everyone is on their own path, and I think that was really eye-opening for me, was that, oh, it's okay that I'm a little slower because I can kind of go at my own pace, and that's okay. But with that, motivation then plummeted. I realized, oh, I don't have to go to class this day, so I'm gonna take a nap. And so I wasn't doing my assignments, and I was kind of taking it easy until I realized that wasn't an option anymore because I wanted to get into grad school. And so now I have more of a motivation and growth mindset course right now. It's kind of where I'm at currently. Um, so throughout my educational career, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but I'm heading toward a steady path right now. So, a little bit about who I am today and my goals is I'm an IC graduate almost. This is my last semester, so I'm excited to be done and to be graduated with my bachelor's. However, I think that I am very motivation heavy. I want to get into grad school and I want to get married and have a family, and so I am extremely motivated to make those things happen. And I'm still very family focused. I love my family, and I think that's something that will remain a constant within who I am and the way I carry myself and do the things that I do. And so I think that's going to be really important moving forward. Um, but some of my goals, as I said, is I want to graduate my master's in marriage counseling, and so I'd love to help those who are married strengthen their relationships, and I want to get married myself and strengthen my own relationship. But I'd also love to have a family and be able to provide for my family and really just have a good and secure life. That's my goal, and I think that's doable, and I think that's something that I am very motivated for, something that I've really been working towards. So how I'm going to achieve these goals? I think a big part of this is understanding the importance of intrinsic motivation of my goals. So within work and marriage and family, it's really important to find joy within those and not just doing them to get something out of it or just to check off a box. And so it's going to be important to find joy within work, even though it's going to be very difficult because I feel like there's going to be a lot of emotional weight there and a little bit of a weight on my back. But I know that there's going to be joy within that, and improving my own marriage will help me to be successful and joyful at work and within my family as well. And so finding joy within what I'm doing is going to be very important. And that's something I have to improve. And I have to also try to have a growth mindset with rich motivation. And I say this because you can't have one without the other. Well, you can, but it doesn't really mean you're going to be successful. And so the way I say it, I just thought of this tonight, and it was motivation is the powerhouse of action. And I find this to be really important and very truthful. And so, within a study done in 2021 by Sislovic and others, I think that's how you say it. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not very good with pronunciation. But they did a study on nurses, and they surveyed them and asked about their motivation and how high their motivation was, and whether or not they wanted to further their education. And so they found that those with higher motivation wanted to further their education, and that's not very shocking. It actually makes a lot of sense. And so, of course, those who want to further their education will have higher motivation. But within this, it is important to be said that you need motivation in everything you do. And so, just because you don't want to go down a certain path doesn't mean that you don't need to have motivation. You should always have motivation within your job and within your life. As I say, motivation is the powerhouse of action, and so without motivation, there's not much action being taken. And this could go for, your physical health or your mental health, and you need to be able to be motivated to be successful within what you want to achieve. And so this is really important because in 2025, Benzel and Pegadas, I'm not sure, they did a study on college kids, and they gave a questionnaire asking about motivation levels, and then they had them take a test afterwards. And it actually showed that those with that there was no correlation between those with motivation and higher test scores or anything like that. There was no correlation between motivation and test scores. And so I found this to be interesting. I was like, well, why? Why is that? Why isn't there a correlation? Why aren't those who are motivated not have higher test scores? And then I was thinking about it. Well, just because you have motivation doesn't mean you have a growth mindset. And so this is something that I personally have struggled with, is where I've had motivation but no growth mindset, or I've had a growth mindset but no motivation. And so when you have one without the other, you're kind of running into a straight wall. It's not, you're not really doing much. um, and so I found that you need both to succeed. You need both a growth mindset, you need the positive emotion to go, well, the positive emotion to go with the motivation. And so this is really important for success, and I think that this is something that I'm going to need to work with, because I have those times where I go and I don't have a good growth mindset. I figure that I'm pretty much usually motivated, but the growth mindset and the fixed mindset are where I struggle the most. And so I think it's going to be important that when I have that fixed mindset, it's important to give myself that grace and to understand that it's all about the growth and it's all about improvement. And so I think that's going to be really important moving forward. And those are some ways that I'm going to achieve my goals. And so here are my references, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this. I know that I had fun making it. And I hope that you guys have a good night. And thank you for watching.